Hello everyone and welcome back. Now that you're here, we can begin the discussion. This time we'll be reviewing a group of incarnated sorcerers and a curse spirit that all deserve more spotlight and appreciation than they get, despite their contribution to the story being limited to a single mini-arc about 8 chapters long. Every one of them has climbed to the pinnacle of modern-day sorcery and thrived within the Culling Games, which were made to simulate the dire conditions of combat from the Heian era. We'll be going over these characters in order based on their significance. First, Ryu Ishigori, the man with the greatest cursed energy output in the Culling Games, is essentially a human cannon who can put as much energy into any action as he pleases. In the spirit of transparency, the Culling Game does consider Sukuna and Kenjaku as Megumi and Geto respectively, so it is hypothetically possible that either of them have better output, but that is hardly a reduction to Ryu's greatness. Kashimo confides in Kenjaku that he regrets not being able to face Ryu due to his old age. For Ryu's legend to reach Kashimo across Japan during the Edo period, during that same era that a limitless Six Eyes user and a master of the Ten Shadows existed, he must have made himself known as a spectacular warrior. His incarnation doesn't seem to lack any of his legendary power, as he's able to box a fully manifested Rika and send her flying, or even destroy her manifestation in a single blow, depending on how excited he is at the time. Ryu was also able to send Yuta flying and overpower his True Love Blast, which in Jujutsu Kaisen 0 had the power to defeat thousands of curses in a single blow by using Granite Blast, which can destroy entire buildings or city streets in seconds with little to no build-up time or draw on his stamina. Ryu is so durable that the only significant damage he sustains in the battle for the Sendai colony is when Yuta and Uro redirect his own technique against him. This toughness is later praised by Sukuna himself, as he states that Yuta and Yuji aren't as tough as Ryu, despite Yuta's ability to survive the World Slash and Yuji's ability to tank Sukuna's Black Flash and Malevolent Shrine. This firmly places Ryu at the peak of the verse in terms of durability, alongside characters like Gojo, Sukuna, and Miguel. He was able to stalemate the other sorcerers I will be discussing with you in this video, including a curse that can one-shot special grades and transcend death, a conqueror of Japan, and a leader of a group within the Fujiwara clan who ranked as one of the greatest sorcery clans of all time. After this stalemate, Ryu still didn't find any of the battle interesting or satisfying at all until Yuta Okkotsu expended all of his energy and used Rika's help to temporarily gain unlimited energy and access to all the tools and copied technique, in addition to Rika herself. Yuta is a sorcerer of the modern age who is closer to the level of Gojo than he is to the average sorcerer. He is easily one of the strongest of all time, and even he essentially needed a jackpot level energy amp and access to several curses to survive the battle against these monsters of Jujutsu. Yuta requiring all of these amps and extra abilities to defeat Ryu firmly places Ryu above Yuta in combat stats. Yuta's combat genius and amazing curse technique allowed him to come out on top, but it is clear that Yuta being able to defeat Ishigori is an example of talent and not raw power. The raw power required to kill Ishigori is later showcased when a full power rested Sukuna is surprised at his raw durability and decides to attack seriously from the beginning of their battle. It is strange for Sukuna to try as hard as he did against Ryu, and the fact that he still thinks about him dozens of chapters later is proof that Sukuna held Ryu in high esteem. Ryu's thirst for combat at the highest level mimics the narrative of characters like Gojo and Kashimo, which provides extra evidence that Ryu belongs among them in discussions of power. When it comes to raw power, perhaps no one has witnessed more in their lifetime than Takako Uro. As the leader of the Sun, Moon, and Star Squad, Uro had to enact the will of the Fujiwara clan and constantly assassinate obstacles. Of course, being a massive Heian-era clan, Uro eventually had to do battle with Sukuna himself, and of course they ultimately lost. In order for her to have been incarnated though, she must have survived the battle to meet and deal with Kenjaku, even after her clan abandoned her and sentenced her to death. So not only was Uro capable of surviving an encounter with Ryoma and Sukuna, but even her whole clan. Much like Ryu, Uro's power doesn't seem to falter after her incarnation, as she is consistently depicted as the faster and more aware combatant within the Sendai colony, capable of speed blitzing from more than 100 feet up straight to Okkotsu's ear before he can react. This isn't just due to her ability to bend space, she also consistently reacts to granite blasts faster than Yuta in order to dodge or redirect them as she sees fit. Her redirection attack deals more damage to Ishigori than anyone else until at least when Rika is fully manifested, and she inspires Yuta, showing him exactly how to win the battle, which he possibly couldn't have done without using her technique. Due to her pride, Uro refused to kill any non-sorcerers during the culling games. This is impressive because she still managed to acquire more points than Yuta and Kurourushi. Uro was by far the best sorcerer in the colony at avoiding damage until Rika manifested and Yuta off-guarded her with cursed speech. She was by far in the best physical condition of all the Sendai combatants. She consistently managed to avoid damage unless she was directly distracted or rendered incapable of action. Uro's power doesn't end at mobility and reaction speed. She's also very capable of dealing damage. With her ability Thin Icebreaker, she's able to damage characters as tough as Yuta and Ishigori. And her durability is on a similar level when she was able to survive a full power Granite Blast, which shocks Ryu when the fight had concluded. Ultimately, it's not hard to imagine her standing alongside characters from her era like Yorozu or Uraume, who were able to challenge and befriend Sukuna, respectively. When considering overwhelming aggression reminiscent of the Heian era, there are not many beings, human or curse, in the modern day that can embody aggression quite like Kurourushi, the Cockroach Curse Spirit. The Cockroach Curse is a registered special grade of the modern era that wields a life-festering blade that mixes life and death. Even Ryu and Uro were wary of the curse's arrival to the battle due to its fearsome arsenal. Much like its master Kenjaku, the curse is able to reinforce hundreds of cockroaches to swarm and make widespread attacks that even Yuta considers a serious threat and opts to avoid combat with them altogether by having Rika trap them underground. It is at this point that the curse personally begins to battle Yuta and quickly overwhelms him, and using his festering sword, sprouts curses from Yuta's flesh and drags him to the brink of death, forcing Yuta to use reverse curse technique to heal himself, which he was intentionally trying to withhold at the time. Being able to intimidate Ryu and Uro, in addition to dealing this much damage to Yuta and earning even more points than him while laying dormant, is enough evidence to place Kurourushi in serious consideration for the position of strongest curse spirit in Jujutsu Kaisen, if Rika is currently a Shikigami at least. Ultimately, Yuta is able to save himself with reverse curse technique and then use positive energy to destroy the curse. This is however only due to the natural weakness all curses have to positive energy, meaning that Yuta would have had much more trouble defeating him relying on his personal stats, and isn't a reason to discredit Kurourushi. The curse was able to rejoin the battle not long after by having its energy inhabit the body of a vessel it created asexually through parthenogenesis, and during the second encounter it was able to distract and severely damage Uro, cementing its ability to consistently deal massive damage to special grade level sorcerers. While the cockroach curse may be impressive, it's interesting to note that the reason it went dormant to begin with was due to its desire to avoid our next topic character, Dhruv Lakdawalla. Unfortunately, Dhruv fell victim to the Kenjaku treatment. However, there is enough information surrounding him within the series to know he was a force to be reckoned with on his own. His overwhelming power with Shikigami single-handedly sent the cockroach curse into hiding and created the deadlock of the Sendai colony, and it was only Dhruv's death that allowed Ryu and Uro to begin taking action. Dhruv is able to summon Shikigami using his hair as a medium instead of needing to rely on talismans, as the typical Shikigami user would. This is the same trait that initially sparked Sukuna's interest in Megami due to his ability to use shadows as a medium, which speaks volumes as far as Dhruv's potential is concerned. And we gain excellent proof that Dhruv lived up to his potential as he single-handedly conquered Japan during a civil war almost 2,000 years ago, which places Dhruv as possibly the oldest character in the series, and of course, cursed energy would be peaking during a stressful event like a war, so it's unlikely that Dhruv was the only sorcerer of his time. Due to Dhruv essentially scaring off the cockroach curse that nearly killed Yuta, it is quite likely that Yuta did attack Dhruv by surprise. He is also shown to be in nearly the exact same spot when he dies as when he was active, implying that their battle wasn't drawn out. Another contributing factor to prove Dhruv's power was his massive point total, beating out every other sorcerer in the colony, and was only surpassed by characters like Higuruma and Kashimo, who are both comparable to Gojo in terms of talent, and hadn't been shown to be challenged in their own colonies. In conclusion, every single combatant in the Sendai colony displayed at least mid special grade level power and skill, and even the weakest of them can be compared to Yuta without the power of Rika's full manifestation, and others can still compete with him during said manifestation. It's truly a shame that none of these characters got to have an impact on the story again, but in their short run they did extremely well to establish the mindset and power level of their respective time periods, and showed us that Yuta's overwhelming flexibility and and support from Rika can overcome just about anything. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you checked out my last two videos where I discuss even more incarnated sorcerers and the master of the culling games directly. But either way, I hope you stay safe and take it easy.